Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to part one of my latest video series. This one is going to be the build of the most powerful computer that I've built to date. This is probably going to take about 4 parts. It all depends on whether or not there's one part that I'm having trouble getting, which I'll explain later, how quickly that can come in, and I'll be able to purchase one. But everything else we put together, and I'll leave that one piece out or substitute maybe a piece from one of my other systems temporarily until I can actually get the one that I want and put it in there. I'm not going to go over all the individual components in this part video here. I am going to just go over the case. So let me start with that, so you'll see what the case is going to be. It is the Corsair 4000D Airflow in white. Now this case comes from Corsair in a lot of different versions. It comes in white or black in general. You can get the Airflow like I've gotten, which has a front section to it, has a lot of slots available for the air to go through with a filter behind that. I like coolness, so this is the one I thought would be the best one to get. It was also just happened to be the one that was on sale, so that worked out well for me. But you can also get it where the front panel is just flat metal, and there's slots on the sides that you can actually take the air in. It comes with a side tempered glass, but you can also get tempered glass on the front, and it'll come with some RGB fans as well. Now I'm going to have RGB in this, but that's something I'm going to add into it, because this one doesn't come with the RGB fans themselves, just standard non-RGB fans. So anyway, I have not opened it up yet, so let me open this up and get started. Got my handy dandy knife here. Okay, it's actually 3-toned when you think about it. It has black in certain parts of it. It actually has white in the frame of the glass, so it matches the glass well. And it has a black fan in the front and a black fan in the back, regular Corsair. I understand they're not PWM, the standard 3-pin fans. So let me just get the rest of this open so I can take the glass off. It has an air filter at the top. It looks like a little tab to grab it with. Okay, that makes it a little easier. Sometimes you have to juggle those things to get it off. Little instruction booklet. Be spending some time with that. Not going to do a tear now until it's probably the final part of this build. Let me see how do I get this glass off. Looks like it's got 2 twist knobs in the back. They are captured, so they stay in place. Oh, I see. You got to pull the screws in the back here and then push it out. The whole glass with the metal frame comes off. This is a clear glass. I like clear glass. This way. It's got a pull on both sides, which I'll save for later in this video series. Okay, let's take a closer look at this. Looks like the top, let me take the filter off the top here, put it aside. Looks like the top can have either a 240 or a 280 AIO, if you'd like to do that, or radiator in general, that the fans would be 240 or 280. I like the fact that there's so much room down here in the bottom. This is something I really like, because that means that there'll be more room between the motherboard and the fan of the radiator. And that way we should be able to have no trouble with memory or things of that nature. But we'll find out when I do the build in here. But right off the bat, I like that feature. Of course, as always, I like the fact that Corsair, when they do the I/O slots, you don't have to destroy them to take them out. You can pull them out, open up a slot, then you can pull the PCIe I/O slot off. And it is gray. It's gray just like the tint on the front of the case here. The fans are black, but trim to this is mostly, well, the trim that's up on the bottom of the front, where the front panel is underneath it, that is black. But now you can take this and put it back without any problem. I love that. And that way it'll retain it. You don't have to put oddball slot protectors in there because you destroyed the other ones. Like I said, there's a fan here in the back, and there's another one in the front. Those fans will not be staying in there even after I've built it. I'm not going to test it with those fans, because I'm going to put RGB fans in here, as you will see, and I'm going to have many more of them than you see here. Now I want to take the front off. See how to do this. It just pops right off. There's 4 plastic tabs that hold it in. They're pretty good. They don't look like they're delicate in any particular way. And then over here, just like my 275R, it has a nice fine filter to filter all the air being blown in from the front fans into the case. I want positive air pressure. That's the way I always want my cases to function. So this makes it pretty easy. And this should just snap right back in, right? You can see if we were to buy the one with the front that is solid, it would still be good. There's pretty large slots on the sides here, on both sides of the front. So there should be ample amount of room. Not enough air for me. That's why I bought the airflow one. It's got a power supply shroud that goes all the way across. I like that. There's plenty of room, a nice big slot here in the front that allows, if you happen to have a 360 millimeter radiator in here, it should go all the way down. Looks like there's plenty of room for an average size radiator to go all the way in with a fan. We'd have to test that to make sure it really does fit. It depends how thick in millimeters your actual radiator would be. There's really no way of putting the fan on the other side. The power supply shroud is perforated as well for plenty of airflow between the two compartments, the power supply compartment and the main case compartment. It's got a pretty good pattern all throughout in terms of this pattern that they've cut into, and it feels really nice. I like the quality of this metal. I always like the quality of Corsair cases in that regard. Let me pull the back off. So you pull off, there are trap screws. We pull those off and push it out. That's the side panel. I'll put this down. And then you see the back side of the case here. It's got nice channel and retaining straps for all of the wiring. And it's already set up fairly well. It's got plenty of areas to also strap down any additional cabling that you have. It's got two of these 2.5-inch drive plates that can be removed. It's got a drive cage as well. It looks like the drive cage is the standard ones that you press the two sides together and then the drive cage comes out. Right now they have the little box of goodies in here, and it can hold two 3.5-inch drives. Does this drive cage come out? Yes, it has screws up on the top here that you can take off to remove this drive cage if you don't want it. It looks like you just have to do it on the one side, this side over here. You need like a stubby screwdriver though to get in there. Okay, so there's not a lot of room for that. It has the standard vent on the bottom for the power supply, and it's got a filter, fine grade filter that's up in the box. Unfortunately, like all the cases that I've seen from them, at this price level, you have to pull it out from the back. So hopefully you don't have the back blocked, and thereby once you have it up and running, you'd have to move your PC around in order to get that out of it. So that looks pretty good. It's got nice big openings up here for cables to be passed through, like the 12 volts for the CPU. So I don't anticipate any trouble with that. There's a lot of debate over these cable channels that some manufacturers put in. I tend to like them, but we'll see how it works out when I do a build. Now, if we look at the actual cables that are provided, well, let's look at the front panel first. Let me leave this out. The front panel has on it the power on switch. It looks like there's a light inside the power on switch. It has a regular 3.2 USB-A connector. It has a USB-C connector. So if you have a 3.2 Type 2, that should work. And it has the regular headphone microphone connector, combined one. And it has the reset button, a little black button here. So there's all the standard ones. And if we look at the wiring that's provided with this, we should see that it matches up with that. So it does have a USB 2.0. Yeah, it has a USB 2.0. I'm not sure exactly where that's going right now because I don't see any USB 2.0 on the front panel. That's interesting. I'll have to trace that out and find out where that's going. And it has, the USB 3.2 for the USB-C connector, if your motherboard supports that. It's a special connector just for that type of connector on it. It has USB 3.0, which is what I see there, and it has the standard connections for the front panel, like the power switch itself, the power LED, and the reset switch. I don't see a hard drive activity indicator wire here, and I didn't see it when I looked at the front panel here. So I don't think that that's provided, but I'll find out for sure later on when I take some of these wires and trace them out a little bit more. Inside the case, it can hold a full ATX. It has a nice little shield here that I like. It covers up the cables with plenty of room to stick them through here. So if you have a full-size ATX motherboard, you won't see a lot of cables lingering over here in the front of the case, which will make the dressing look nice. It also supports a vertically mounted graphics card. It does not come, from what I see here, with the riser cable for that, so you'd have to buy that. You should buy one approved by your motherboard, and then here would be the connectors, the actual panel, I/O panel block for that. Looks like it can hold a double wide GPU, but again, you'll be up against the glass. I don't know if that's a great idea. Unless you have a water-cooled one, then it wouldn't matter. But if you have one that's got fans on it for the GPU, the airflow is going to be blocked by the glass. And it's got a nice channel down in front here. In case you want to put like an RGB strip down in here, there's room for that. It'll fit nice and it'll hide it very well. I might actually use that. We'll see. And it's got nice large openings here underneath the shroud in the back, so you can get the cables, the I/O connectors, basically a lot of these wires plus more, including any SATA data cables to go through here without any problem. It can support a pretty long power supply. Obviously, if you go past the length here, which let me see what that length is. If you have a power supply that's less than about 215 millimeters in length, then it'll fit in here without having to move the drive cage. To actually move the drive cage and allow more room for the PSU, you have to remove the 2 screws on the one side, the right side. You may need to use a stubby screwdriver to loosen them up. Pull it straight backward, shift it over to the next available position, and then push it in. And that'll do it. So hopefully you like this case, and it'll make for a nice, attractive build in my new build that I'll be showing in this series. I expect that a lot of people will like this build. I got some parts in it that I've never used before. Basically, everything is going to be brand new. I'm not reusing any parts that I've already gotten, unless the one part that I'm missing, I might temporarily borrow it from another PC that I have, just until I'm able to get one of those. If you look at the current market availability of certain computer parts, you could probably figure that one out rather quickly. So I think it's a nice case. It's got a lot of good features to it. Again, I like Corsair construction. I like features. This one looks like it is, one of the ones that does really well. It does not have those plastic rubber grommets, but I think they make up for it by putting this panel right in here. Okay, that takes care of part 1 of this new build series that I'm doing, where I'm going to build my new computer with a lot of high-end parts to it. Hopefully you got something out of this one. If you did, please do me a favor and at least consider subscribing to my channel. That would really be helpful. Oh, by the way, a little like there too wouldn't hurt. Well, until the next video, take care, be safe.